The colony planet of Ardanis was wild, untamed, and beautiful. Its skies were painted in shades of orange and violet during the long sunsets, while its forests stretched for hundreds of miles, filled with towering trees and thick underbrush. Rivers cut through the land like silver ribbons, and mountains pierced the clouds, their peaks sharp and unyielding. Human settlements on Ardanis were few and scattered. Most were small clusters of metal and stone buildings, surrounded by walls for protection. Life here was hard. The colonists had to fight for food, water, and safety every single day. The forests were home to strange creatures, some dangerous, some elusive, but one being had earned a fear that no other had, the Warbeast. No one knew exactly how big it was. Some said it was taller than a house, heavier than a transport vehicle, and stronger than 10 men combined. Its body was covered in armor-like plates, black and glinting under the sun, and its eyes glowed like molten gold. Hunters had tried to kill it. Warriors had tried to tame it. Every attempt failed. The Warbeast was untamable. It was a force of nature, and it was coming toward the village of Kevar. The villagers had begun their daily routines, gathering water, tending crops, and checking the perimeter sensors. Children ran between the houses, laughing and playing, unaware of the danger approaching. The adults had grown accustomed to the occasional threats, wild animals, storms, minor alien raids, but nothing prepared them for a warbeast. The first sign was the ground trembling beneath their feet. At first, the villagers thought it was an earthquake, but then came the sound, a low, deep growl that shook the air and vibrated through the walls of the settlement. Birds scattered in panic, and the village dogs barked furiously. The adults froze, recognizing the sound immediately. "It's here," one of the hunters whispered. His voice trembled, but he did not run. He had seen the warbeast before, and he knew its power. From the forest's edge, a shadow emerged. Slowly, deliberately, it moved through the trees. The trees themselves seemed to bend and break under its weight. Every step it took left deep craters in the soft ground. Its eyes shone, scanning the village, calculating. It was hungry. It was powerful. It was unstoppable. Or so everyone thought. The villagers began evacuating. Mothers scooped up children. Farmers abandoned their tools. Alarm sirens blared. Even the automated defense drones moved into position, ready to fire their energy nets or stun rays. But the warbeast moved too fast, too strong. It tore through the drones with a single swipe of its massive claws, scattering them like toys. Panic swept through the settlement. People screamed, running toward the safety of reinforced bunkers. The warbeast roared, a sound that echoed through the valleys, sending shivers down spines. Nothing alive could resist it, or so the stories said. Among the chaos, one small figure stood still. A child, no older than 7 or 8, stepped out from behind a wall. Her eyes were wide, not with fear but with curiosity. She had dark hair that hung in messy braids and a small satchel across her shoulder. The villagers froze when they saw her. "Get inside, now!" a mother shouted, grabbing her daughter. But the child shook her head. She was calm, unmoving, unafraid. She looked straight at the warbeast. The massive creature slowed. It had never seen such behavior. Every human it encountered had screamed, run, or attacked. But this small human was standing still, looking up at it without fear. The child took a slow step forward. The warbeast tilted its head, growling low in its throat. Its nostrils flared, sensing the child's scent, calculating whether this was prey or threat. It could smell the fear of the villagers, the tension in the air, but not the child. The child smelled different, calm, confident, alive. "Sit," the child said, her voice soft but firm. The words carried strangely in the air, simple, clear, commanding, not with fear, but with quiet authority. The Warbeast paused. It had never heard anything like this. It did not understand the meaning of the word, yet something in its ancient mind recognized a change in the human's energy. She did not tremble. She did not threaten. She did not try to run. She only was. A few seconds stretched into an eternity. The villagers watched, frozen in disbelief. The Warbeast lowered its massive head closer to the child, its golden eyes narrowing. Its claws dug into the ground, leaving deep gouges. The air seemed to thicken, charged with power. The child took another step forward. "Sit," she said again, louder this time. And then, something remarkable happened. The Warbeast lowered its front legs to the ground. Slowly, deliberately it sat. Its tail thumped heavily, sending vibrations through the ground. The villagers could not believe their eyes. The untamable Warbeast, feared by all, had obeyed a human child. Silence fell over the settlement. Even the wind seemed to stop. Birds hesitated mid-flight. Dogs crouched, unsure what to do. The Warbeast simply sat, watching the child, its massive chest rising and falling. The child approached, keeping her movements slow and careful. She held out a hand, not to touch, but to show trust. The Warbeast sniffed it, low and cautious before withdrawing. It was curious. It had never felt such calm from a human before. From the edge of the village, an elder stepped forward. His voice was shaky, but he spoke. "By the stars, she's done the impossible." The child looked back at him and smiled faintly. "He's not bad," she said simply. "He just needs someone to listen." The villagers exchanged glances. They had been fighting for survival for years, believing strength alone ruled the world. And yet, here was a child, showing them that courage and patience could achieve what force never could. The Warbeast shifted slightly, lying down now, its head resting on the ground. It was watching, listening, learning. For the first time, it was not alone. Night fell over the village, and the stars of Ardanis twinkled above. The Warbeast stayed near the child, neither moving nor leaving. The villagers whispered in awe, realizing that the balance of power on their world might be changing. One small human, brave and calm, had faced the untamable and not only survived, she had commanded it. In the days to come, everyone would speak of this moment. Hunters and settlers alike would tell stories of the day the untamable Warbeast met a human child who simply said, "Sit." It would be the beginning of a bond that could change the fate of the colony. And somewhere deep in the forest, the Warbeast and the child looked at each other. Neither understood fully what had happened, but both felt it. A new journey had begun, a journey that would test courage, intelligence, and the strength of the human spirit. The night was quiet now, but tomorrow the real adventure would begin. The morning sun rose over the village of Kavar, casting long shadows across the valley. Birds chirped nervously in the trees, and the villagers began their daily work again. Yet, today was different. The massive shape of the Warbeast could be seen near the forest's edge, lying motionless but alert. Its golden eyes followed every movement in the village, but it did not attack. It waited. The child, whom everyone now called Lyra, approached the creature carefully. She had learned to move quietly, so as not to startle it. In her small hands, she carried a bundle of fresh meat and water. She had observed the Warbeast from afar for several days, learning its patterns, its habits, and even the sounds it made when it was calm or agitated. The villagers watched from a distance. Mothers hid behind walls, children peeked from windows, and hunters stood ready, just in case. But no one dared step closer than Lyra. They had learned that the child had a unique bond with the creature, something no adult could match. "Good morning," Lyra said softly as she approached. Her voice carried calm authority. "I brought food for you." The warbeast lifted its head slightly, sniffing the air. Its eyes met hers. Slowly, it rose to its feet. The movement was deliberate, heavy, and powerful. The ground shook as it stepped closer, but Lyra did not flinch. She knelt on one knee and placed the bundle of food a few feet away. "Sit," she said. The warbeast hesitated for a moment. Then, slowly, it lowered itself onto its haunches, its massive body settling onto the ground. Lyra watched its eyes closely. They were bright, curious, and intelligent. She had learned that the warbeast was not a mindless animal. It thought, it felt, it could sense fear, patience, anger, and kindness. Each day, Lyra approached the creature in the same way. She brought food, spoke softly, and practiced small commands. Sometimes she walked around it, sometimes she sat near it, always showing calm confidence. Slowly, the warbeast began to recognize her presence as safe. The villagers noticed the change. At first, they were terrified. But over time, they began to understand the child's quiet power. The warbeast did not attack, did not chase, and did not flee. It stayed near Lyra, waiting for her commands. One afternoon, Lyra decided it was time to test something new. She approached the warbeast, holding her hand up. "Stay," she said. The warbeast tilted its head as if questioning the command. Its golden eyes flicked between her face and the bundle of food. Slowly, it remained still, sitting where it was. Lyra smiled. "Good," she said. "Very good." After several minutes, she whispered, "Come." For the first time, the warbeast moved toward her, stepping carefully. Lyra's heart raced with excitement. It was obeying her commands, learning to respond, not because of fear, but because it trusted her. The villagers whispered among themselves. "She's training it," one hunter said. "But how?" "It's impossible!" Lyra had learned a secret that the adults had forgotten. Strength alone could not tame the untamable. Patience, observation, and respect were far more powerful. She understood that the warbeast was intelligent. It could sense fear, lies, and aggression, but it could also sense kindness, calm, and courage. Over the next few days, Lyra spent more time with the warbeast. She explored the nearby woods, walking beside it, climbing rocks, and even sitting on fallen logs. The creature stayed close, listening, observing, and sometimes mimicking her movements. One morning, while walking along a riverbank, Lyra noticed the warbeast watching the water closely. Small fish darted between the rocks, and the warbeast sniffed at them curiously. Lyra crouched and touched the water. "Look," she said softly. "You can drink from here. It's safe." The warbeast lowered its massive head and drank carefully, its movements gentle despite its size. Lyra laughed softly. "Good boy," she whispered. From the village, people began to notice a new side of their world. The warbeast, once feared as a monster, now moved with purpose, controlled by the calm human child. It was not just tamed by force. It had learned to trust. However, not everything was peaceful. The forests of Ardanis were full of dangers. Other creatures roamed the wilderness, and some saw the warbeast as a threat or prey. One evening, while Lyra rested near a campfire, she noticed glowing eyes in the dark. A pack of smaller predators had circled around her, curious and dangerous. The warbeast sensed the danger immediately. It rose to its full height, its eyes glowing brighter than the firelight. It let out a deep, rumbling growl that shook the ground. The predators hesitated. They had never seen such a creature so calm, so strong, and so commanding. Lyra stood slowly, holding out her hand. "Sit," she said firmly. The warbeast obeyed, lowering itself slightly to appear non-threatening while still blocking the predators. It was a delicate balance. The smaller creatures snarled, but the warbeast's sheer size and presence kept them at bay. After several tense moments, the predators retreated into the forest. Lyra exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. She looked at the warbeast and smiled. "You did great," she said. "We're a team now." That night, as the stars of Ardanis twinkled above, Lyra and the warbeast rested near the village. The villagers gathered in small groups, whispering about what they had seen. It was no longer just a story of fear. It was a story of hope, of courage, and of the extraordinary bond between a human and a creature thought untamable. Lyra knew the work was far from over. She had to teach the warbeast more, to understand its strength and intelligence. But she also knew that humans could achieve what seemed impossible, not with weapons, but with patience, courage, and heart. The following days were filled with lessons. Lyra taught the warbeast to respond to her voice, to understand simple commands like stay, come, and wait. She showed it where food could be found, how to avoid dangers in the forest, and even how to recognize friendly humans. Each small success was celebrated. Villagers began leaving food near the edge of the forest, showing that trust could spread beyond one human. Slowly, the warbeast became part of their lives. It no longer was a symbol of fear, but a protector and a partner. One day, while exploring a cliffside, Lyra climbed carefully as the warbeast followed below. A sudden rock slide occurred, and a young child from the village slipped near the edge. The warbeast reacted instantly. With a powerful leap, it reached the child, catching them safely in its massive claws. The villagers gasped in awe. Lyra ran forward, climbing onto the warbeast's back to steady the child. "It's okay," she said softly. "He's safe." From that day on, the bond between the warbeast and Lyra was undeniable. It obeyed her commands, protected the village, and even learned to anticipate dangers. People realized that humans were not weak, as some creatures believed. Their courage, intelligence, and empathy could inspire loyalty and even control over forces far stronger than themselves. The forest was still dangerous. Other predators watched from the shadows. Weather storms could strike without warning. But with Lyra and the warbeast together, the colony had a new protector. Strength and patience, combined, had changed the rules of the world. One evening, as Lyra sat near the warbeast's massive head, she whispered, "Tomorrow, we will explore further. There is much to learn." The warbeast tilted its head, listening. Its eyes glowed softly, and its tail thumped lightly against the ground. It had learned to trust her. It had learned that humans were not just fragile beings. They were clever, brave, and capable of greatness. The villagers watched from a distance, understanding that the child had not only tamed a creature thought untamable, but had also shown them the power of the human spirit. HFY, the strength of humanity, was no longer just a story. It was real, alive in a young girl and a mighty beast working together. As the stars shone over Ardanis, Lyra and the warbeast prepared for the next day, ready to face whatever challenges the wild world would bring. Their journey had only just begun. And in the heart of the forest, a legend was growing, one that would inspire generations, a story of courage, intelligence, and the extraordinary potential of humans. The sun rose over the mountains of Ardanis, painting the forest in gold and green. Birds sang, insects hummed, and the villagers of Kavar began their daily routines. But the calm of the morning was deceptive. Beyond the forest, movement stirred, shapes that slithered, leaped, and prowled with hunger and cunning. Lyra stood at the edge of the village, her small hands resting on the warbeast's rough, armored back. She had learned to ride it carefully, feeling its immense power beneath her. The creature's muscles rippled as it shifted its weight, attentive to her commands. Together, they were a team, unusual, yet unstoppable in their quiet way. "Stay close to the edge," Lyra instructed softly. "We need to see what's moving before it reaches the village." The warbeast's golden eyes scanned the trees. Its nose twitched as it caught the scent of predators hidden in the underbrush. Slowly, it crept forward, each step careful, controlled, and silent despite its massive size. Lyra's heart pounded. She had seen small predators before, but these were different, larger, smarter, and more aggressive. From the shadows of the forest, two large predators emerged. Their skin shimmered in faint metallic shades, and their claws were sharp as knives. They circled near the edge of the village, curious and dangerous. Villagers screamed as they noticed the movement, retreating to the bunkers. The drones activated automatically, firing nets and stun pulses, but the predators dodged with unnatural speed. Lyra held on tight. "Sit," she commanded. The warbeast lowered itself slightly, maintaining a defensive position. Its chest heaved as it growled low in its throat, warning the predators to keep their distance. The predators hissed, but did not attack immediately. They had never encountered a creature of such power paired with a human so fearless. One of them lunged toward the village wall, testing the defenses. The warbeast moved faster than anyone expected, intercepting the predator mid-leap and pinning it to the ground with careful pressure. It did not crush, it controlled. Lyra's voice was steady. "Good. Hold it." The warbeast obeyed, keeping the predator restrained while she spoke to it softly. Her calm energy radiated in the air, and the predator slowly relaxed, sensing no immediate threat from her. The second predator tried to circle behind them, but the warbeast anticipated it. With a sudden turn, it blocked the path and let out a thunderous roar. The ground vibrated, and the second predator froze, retreating a few steps. Lyra climbed higher on its back, holding her hand out toward the forest. "Leave," she said, her voice firm. "Go away." To everyone's amazement, the predators paused, then slowly withdrew into the shadows. They were smart enough to sense the alliance between human and warbeast, something neither had expected. The village was safe. That day, the villagers realized that strength alone did not protect them. It was intelligence, strategy, and courage that had saved their home. Lyra had shown them that humans could inspire loyalty and control even the fiercest creatures. Over the next few days, Lyra continued her training with the warbeast. She introduced more complex commands and tasks. "Follow the path," she said, guiding the creature through narrow forest trails. "Wait there! Watch me!" The warbeast listened, moving with patience and careful precision. Villagers marveled at the sight of the massive beast navigating tight spaces as if it were small and delicate. Lyra's small voice guided it with confidence, proving that humans were clever and adaptable. One afternoon, while exploring a nearby canyon, Lyra spotted unusual tracks. They were large, clawed, and freshly made. She examined them carefully, noting the direction and size. "Someone big is coming," she murmured. "We need to be ready." The warbeast sniffed the air and growled softly. Its muscles tensed, signaling alertness. Lyra climbed onto its back. "Let's meet them before they find the village," she said. They moved through the forest like shadows, silent and careful. Soon, they encountered a massive predator, unlike any Lyra had seen before. Its body was covered in spiky scales, its tail long and whip-like, and its eyes glowed crimson. It was fast, strong, and intelligent. The warbeast stood its ground, lowering itself into a defensive stance. Lyra's voice was calm, firm, and steady. "Sit," she said. The warbeast obeyed partially, keeping its bulk ready while not appearing overly aggressive. The predator hissed and circled, testing its opponent. It lunged forward, jaws open, but the warbeast countered with precise timing, blocking each strike. Lyra shouted commands, directing the creature like a general guiding an army. The battle was tense but controlled. The warbeast did not attack without reason. It defended, it restrained, it anticipated. Lyra's calm intelligence guided it every step. After several minutes, the predator realized it could not outsmart or overpower them. With a final hiss, it retreated into the shadows. Lyra exhaled deeply. She patted the warbeast's armored shoulder. "Good job! You learned fast!" The villagers, who had been watching from a safe distance, whispered among themselves. "She tames the untamable," one elder said. "But she does more. She teaches them strategy, control, and intelligence. Humans are different." Indeed, the warbeast had not just been tamed, it had learned to cooperate, follow commands, and think alongside a human. This was the essence of HFY. Human ingenuity, courage, and intelligence triumphing where brute force could not. In the following days, Lyra and the warbeast began exploring further from the village. She taught it to recognize safe paths, avoid dangerous terrain, and even track smaller predators before they reached the colony. Every lesson reinforced the bond between them. One evening, while walking near a rocky ridge, they encountered a young child from the village who had wandered too far. Lyra shouted a warning. The child froze in fear as a wild predator leapt from the bushes, claws outstretched. Without hesitation, the warbeast sprang forward. It blocked the predator, pinning it safely on the ground without harming it. Lyra ran to the child, guiding them to safety. "See," she whispered, "we protect, not destroy. We think, not fight blindly." The villagers watched, realizing that the warbeast was no longer just a creature of fear. It had become a partner, a protector, and a living example of how humans could inspire loyalty, courage, and intelligence in others. Over time, Lyra began teaching the warbeast more complex tasks. She showed it how to carry supplies, move logs, and even help in construction. The villagers were amazed to see the enormous beast carefully lifting heavy beams and placing them with precision, guided by a small child's voice. "This is incredible," one hunter said. "I never thought humans could achieve this. Strength is one thing, but intelligence, that's something else entirely." Lyra smiled but kept her focus on the warbeast. "We learn together," she said. "We trust each other. That's why it works." Word spread across the colony. The legend of the untamable warbeast and the human child grew. Traders, travelers, and explorers came from distant settlements to witness the bond. Everyone saw the lesson. Humans were not weak. They were clever, brave, and capable of forming connections even with the most powerful creatures. One morning, as Lyra and the warbeast were exploring a cliffside near the village, a sudden storm hit. Rain poured heavily and winds howled through the canyon. Trees bent and broke, rocks tumbled down slopes, and the smaller predators became more aggressive, taking advantage of the chaos. Lyra held tight to the warbeast's back. "Stay calm," she said firmly. "We can handle this." The warbeast's muscles tensed as it moved through the slippery terrain. Lightning flashed, illuminating the fear in the eyes of the smaller predators. Lyra guided the creature carefully, leading it past danger and toward safety. By evening, the storm had passed. Villagers emerged cautiously from their shelters, seeing the warbeast standing tall, with Lyra on its back, both unharmed. A cheer rose from the village. The duo had faced the storm and survived, not with brute force alone, but with intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Lyra dismounted and patted the warbeast. "We're ready for anything now," she said. Its golden eyes blinked slowly, a silent acknowledgement. From that day, the villagers understood that humans were more than fragile beings. Their strength lay in their minds, their courage, and their hearts. A small child had not only tamed a legendary beast, but had shown the colony the true meaning of strength. The forest of Ardanis remained dangerous, but the bond between Lyra and the Warbeast made the impossible possible. They were a team, unstoppable in their unity, a living example of human ingenuity and spirit. As night fell and stars twinkled above, Lyra and the Warbeast sat together at the edge of the village. Both were quiet, reflecting on the day's events. The villagers whispered about the lessons they had learned. Humans were clever, strong, and capable of extraordinary feats. And in the darkness of the forest, predators and dangers lurked. But they knew instinctively that the human and the Warbeast were a force to be respected. The journey was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, and the bond between the child and the untamable Warbeast would be tested further. But for now, they had proven that courage, intelligence, and calm could face even the wildest dangers. The legend of the untamable Warbeast and the human child was growing, and it was far from finished. The dawn came slowly over Ardanis, painting the sky with pale orange and soft violet. A quiet wind rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of the forest and the distant mountains. For the village of Kivar, it was a calm morning, yet a sense of tension lingered. The predators that had circled the colony were becoming bolder. They were testing the limits of human courage and the strength of the bond between a child and a mighty beast. Lyra stood at the edge of the village, her small figure barely visible beside the massive Warbeast. Its golden eyes glowed softly in the morning light, reflecting trust and intelligence. Together, they surveyed the surrounding forest, alert to every movement. Lyra had learned to understand the Warbeast's instincts. Its growls, its sniffing, its shifting weight, all told her what it sensed, predicted, or feared. "The predators are getting stronger," Lyra whispered. "We need to be ready." The Warbeast lowered its head slightly, a sign of understanding. Its tail thumped against the ground, a reminder of its immense power. The villagers watched from a distance. They were beginning to understand what Lyra had taught them, that courage and intelligence could command loyalty even from the wildest creatures. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the tree line. It was larger than any predator they had faced before, with spiky scales and long whip-like limbs. Its crimson eyes burned with hunger. The creature let out a deafening roar, and smaller predators followed it, converging on the village. It was an invasion. Lyra gripped the Warbeast tightly. "Stay calm," she said firmly. "We can handle this. Together." The Warbeast lowered itself into a defensive stance, muscles rippling beneath its armored plates. Lyra climbed higher, standing on its back for a better view. "We fight smart, not just strong," she said to herself and to the villagers who were watching. "We outthink them." The predators charged, but the Warbeast moved with surprising speed, intercepting the first attackers. It did not strike blindly. It restrained, blocked, and redirected their movements. Lyra shouted instructions, guiding its actions like a general leading a battalion. "Left! Hold! Push them back!" The village erupted in chaos, but amidst the panic, a clear sense of order emerged. The Warbeast, under Lyra's calm direction, became a shield and a force multiplier. Every action was deliberate, every movement calculated. Humans and beast worked as one. A smaller predator leapt toward a village child hiding near a broken wall. Lyra reacted instantly. "Sit!" she commanded. The Warbeast obeyed immediately, moving between the predator and the child, blocking the attack with precision. The predator snarled but could not get past. Lyra stepped forward. "Go back," she whispered, and the predator retreated. Intimidated not by force alone, but by the intelligence and coordination of the human and Warbeast. The larger predator, the crimson-eyed monster, lunged toward the village square. The Warbeast intercepted, engaging it with skill and strategy. Its massive tail swept the ground, knocking smaller attackers away. Its claws were like battering rams, but it avoided lethal strikes, controlling the battle with careful precision. Lyra shouted, "Stay low! Push it back!" Her voice, calm yet commanding, guided every movement. The villagers watched in awe. Humans, small and fragile compared to the predators, had led the fight, not through brute strength, but through courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Lyra and the Warbeast demonstrated what humans could do when they thought strategically, understood their enemy, and worked in harmony with even the most powerful allies. Hours passed. The battle raged on, the sun climbing higher, casting stark shadows across the blood-stained forest floor. The Warbeast and Lyra were tireless. The predators, though fierce, began to retreat under the coordinated defense. One by one, the invaders left the village and forest edge, unable to overcome the unity and intelligence of their opponents. Finally, as the sun dipped toward the mountains, the last predator disappeared into the shadows. The villagers emerged from hiding, cheering and clapping. They rushed to Lyra and the Warbeast, marveling at the scene before them. The ground was scarred, trees had fallen, and rocks were overturned. But no human had been harmed, thanks to the incredible bond and teamwork between a child and a mighty creature. Lyra dismounted and patted the Warbeast. "We did it," she whispered softly. "We protected them." The Warbeast blinked slowly, a silent acknowledgement of her words. The villagers gathered around, awe and respect shining in their eyes. She's extraordinary," one elder said. "Not just a child, but a leader. She has shown us what humans can achieve." Indeed, the lesson was clear. Humans were not weak. They were clever, brave, and capable of extraordinary things. Courage, patience, intelligence, and empathy had tamed the untamable and protected a community from overwhelming danger. This was HFY, the triumph of humanity, not through raw strength alone, but through mind, heart, and spirit. In the days that followed, Lyra and the Warbeast became more than protectors. They were symbols. They patrolled the outskirts of the village, trained younger children, and taught the villagers how to read the forest, predict danger, and act with intelligence rather than fear. The Warbeast, once feared as a creature of destruction, now moved with purpose and understanding. It carried supplies, helped rebuild damaged structures, and even assisted in constructing barriers to keep predators at bay. The villagers had learned a new form of cooperation, one that combined human ingenuity with the power of nature itself. One evening, as the stars appeared over Ardanis, Lyra climbed onto the Warbeast's back. She looked at the horizon, the village below her, and the forest stretching endlessly beyond. The wind blew softly, carrying the promise of new challenges and adventures. "We've done well," she said, her voice calm but proud. "But there's still more to learn." The Warbeast tilted its head, understanding her meaning. Together, they had faced the impossible, but their journey was not yet over. The villagers gathered around, their faces glowing with gratitude and admiration. They had witnessed the extraordinary potential of humans, the ability to inspire loyalty, to lead through courage and intelligence, and to create bonds that even the wildest creatures could respect. The colony of Kavar was safe, thanks to a child and a creature once thought untamable. But more than safety, they had learned a lesson that would last generations. Humans were not fragile. They were clever, courageous, and capable of achieving the impossible. In the quiet of the night, Lyra whispered to the Warbeast, "We've shown them. We've shown everyone what humans can do." The Warbeast nuzzled her gently, a silent promise that they would continue together. The forest of Ardanis remained wild, full of unknown dangers and mysteries, but the legend of the untamable Warbeast and the human child had grown. It would inspire future generations to trust in courage, intelligence, and the human spirit. And as the stars sparkled above, Lyra and the Warbeast prepared for the days ahead. They would explore the forests, learn from the land, and face challenges together. But no matter what came, they knew one truth. Humans could rise above fear, conquer challenges with intelligence and heart, and inspire loyalty in even the most formidable creatures. The story of the untamable warbeast and the brave child had reached its climax, but it was also a beginning. A beginning of new adventures, new lessons, and a future where humanity's courage and intelligence would always shine, even in the wildest corners of the universe. The child and the warbeast sat together under the night sky side by side. The stars reflected in their eyes, and for a moment, all was still. They had faced the untamable, they had triumphed, and they had shown the world the true power of humanity. And with that, the colony of Kivar slept peacefully, knowing that the human spirit, brave and clever, was stronger than any beast, stronger than any danger, and unstoppable when combined with courage and heart. The legend was complete, but the adventure would continue.